Hi, it's Cindy, that crafting lady. Welcome to my channel if this is your first time here, and welcome back if you're returning. I have so many ideas that I really want to share with you, so let's get crafting. Hi everybody, so today I am going to be making 3 Christmas themed wall hangings, all under $5 a piece. I'm going to use this paper I got at Michael's, these 3 letter ornaments from Dollar Tree and the sign from Dollar Tree, along with some Waverly chalk paint, some Waverly antique wax, and some Mod Podge. And I showed the distress ink here, but I'm not actually going to use it. So anyways, I like the Waverly antique wax better. So let's get rid of all of the extra stuff on these letters and on the signs. And I'm just going to use my heat gun to do that, and I'll be back. All right, everything is gone. I have it set off to the side up here so that way maybe I can use some of it later. Maybe I'll send that gnome to Teresa. Okay, so I don't like to, if I paint over this, it's going to take 2 or 3 coats. So instead of painting over it, I'm going to turn it around. And yes, I did use my sander to get some of that stuff off. And that one's cardboard. But anyways, I'm going to turn it over and put some craft paper on it. And that's what I did there. I put craft paper on the back, and then that way I have a nice, smooth, nice finish on the front to work with. And I'm going to punch through the holes because we are going to use that to hang our sign when we're done. And so make sure we punch through that craft paper. There we go. All right, so the first thing that I am going to do is I'm going to give this a really good coat of the white or plaster chalk paint. There we go. So that's drying. Now let's deal with the letters. And what we're going to do is we're going to take some of this paper and put it onto our letters. We're going to decoupage it onto our letters. So let's do the J. All right. So I'm going to take my Mod Podge and I'm going to put a liberal coat, but I don't want it all gloppy. I want a nice even coat on here. So we'll just put that all over it, nice and even. And today's challenge is sponsored by Heidi Sonboul. Her link will be listed in the description box below. Now that I've got the Mod Podge on there, I'm going to apply the paper to it. I could have cut it down, traced it out, and cut it down a little bit, but I figured this is just as easy. Just take it and set it where I want it. And I could have went and got my burnisher, but that's over on the other side of the craft room. So I'll just use my fingers to burnish it down. All right, now we're going to take our craft knife and we're going to cut out the extra paper. And I will save that paper for another project. I'm sure I'll need bits and pieces here and there. So check out Heidi's channel. As I said, it'll be linked down in the description box. But this is also part of a playlist, and I will have that linked in the description box also. And you definitely have to check that playlist out because there are some very talented crafters that usually show up for the challenge when Heidi puts it out there. So definitely check out that playlist and let them know that Cindy sent you when you're over there and watching some great Christmas ideas. All right, so I'm just going to catch a couple places that I missed, and then we'll get that taken right off. There we go. And just push it around, make sure it all comes off nice and even. Yep, and save that paper for something else. And there is just a couple little places that I missed, so I'm just going to take my knife and carefully go over them to make it nice and neat and make the look so that it's nice. There we go. Now I need to do my O and my Y, and when that's done, I'm going to put another coat of the Mod Podge over the top of it. So let me finish that and we'll come right back. All right, so this is dry and my letters are all covered and they're coated with that Mod Podge. So I'm going to take my Waverly antique wax and I'm going to make this sign kind of look like a pallet wood boards or something, you know, just make it look like a little bit like wood. So what I'm going to do is distress the edges first. Just using a dry brush, I dipped it in the paint and then took most of it off onto that paper towel. And I'm just going around the edges all the way around. And you can do this technique as much as you like or as little as you like. When you're doing your crafts, you do them to make you happy. On this one, I go kind of heavy on the distressing, and I like it. Oh, this isn't the one I'm doing wood. I'm just distressing the sign. Getting confused, guys. Help me. Remind me what I'm doing. All right. So just going to distress it, make it look really old. And I like using the antique wax for this. It dries pretty quickly, and it gives it a really nice old-time look. So, and I am a plaid ambassador, so I have to use my plaid products. Not that I have to. I really like them. They're good products, so why wouldn't I want to use them, right? So just distress it until it looks good to your eye, and I'm going to distress mine until it looks good to my eye. So just keep going. Add some more here and there. Put the brush strokes on different directions just to give it that antique look. The edges usually are on something they're more worn than the middle. Now, this is where I was going to use that Distress ink, but I decided instead I was going to go with the Waverly Antique Wax and just kind of give it a little distressing on each of the ornaments, kind of more on the edges all the way around, and then in the middle. Just a little bit, just to give it so it's not that bright white, because our plaster is, not exactly bright white, and we also antiqued it, so might as well keep the theme going. But yeah, these are all under $5 here. So I paid $1 for the sign, $1 for each of the ornaments, so there's 4. I'm only using a couple sheets of paper out of that, and I'm only using partial sheets of paper and just a little bit of paint and some wax. So it's definitely under $5. Very affordable to do, and I think that the look that we come up with when we're done with this is pretty nice, if I do say so myself. All right, so those are all nice and antiqued. And the next thing we're going to do is apply them where we think we want them on the sign. I might as well get rid of the parchment paper because I'm done painting. And even though I use parchment paper, look, there's paint all over my desk. So let's clean up some of it with my little handy ladybug vacuum that I love. There'll be an affiliate link down in my description box if you're interested in that. And there we go. So I want the O, I think, to be a little lower than the J and the Y. I like that. I think that looks good. And then we're going to put some greenery at the top. And oops, sorry about that, guys. I know I hate it when people knock their camera, and I'm really trying not to do it. So I'll keep trying. All right, so I'm going to put on the greenery first, because then that way I can definitely know where my letters are going to be, and they're going to look good. So this is the greenery that came off of the ornaments that are on the board right now. And I'm just going to use it and hot glue it with my SUREBONDER, my new mini SUREBONDER. I love this little mini guy. It's so cool. It really sets out a nice defined amount of glue, and it's very lightweight, and you can shut it off. You don't have to unplug it. You don't have to remember to unplug it. All you got to do is remember to turn off the button, which I think is a really handy thing for me, especially. Considering I left the craft room the other day and my husband goes, "Do you know your glue gun's still on?" I'm like, "Oh, go ahead and unplug it." Anyways. Don't ever leave your glue gun on, guys. And make sure you have a bowl of water or something when you're working with hot glue, because you never want to burn your finger and not have something available. There we go. So I like the way that those look. Now I'm going to add some little pine cones that I had from my stash. So just 3 little pine cones in there I think will look really good. So we'll just put some hot glue on them and stick them in there where we like them. Now you could use a bow here, you could use more greenery. Again, if it's when you're doing it, if you want it, whatever you want to use, go ahead and use it. I just had these little pine cones in my stash and I thought they'd be kind of cute. And there we are. All right, now we have to glue on our letters where we want them. Just kind of fussing with the greenery a little bit. There. All right, so let's put our J on. And we'll just get our little SUREBONDER and put some hot glue along the back. You really don't need a lot. These letters are light, and the SUREBONDER glue works so well. All right, so I want my J up just a little bit, kind of like even with where that greenery is. There we go. Stick it on there where we want it. And now we'll do the Y, and then we'll center that O ornament down a little bit from the other two letters. But we want to make sure that our J and our Y are kind of lined up on the same plane at the top and the bottom, of course. So there we go. Got my Y on, and we just have to add our O. I don't know, I'm thinking this is looking kind of nice. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments and tell me what you think of them. I mean, for under $5, you know, you can't beat it. This would make a nice wall hanging at your house. It would make a nice Christmas gift for somebody. I know I wouldn't mind receiving something like this if someone took the time to make it for me. I think it came out actually very cool. And now we're going to just take a little bit of this jute that I got from the Dollar Tree and put it on the sign. And I just put a little bit of hot glue at the end so I could smush it in so it will go through my holes a lot easier. Look at that. It works. I can't remember what person told me about this, but I'm really happy with it, and I'm definitely using it from now on. Every time I have to string jute, I am going to add a little bit of hot glue to the end. Just measure it out, see about where I want it, and add a little bit more hot glue. Sorry, it's off camera. Just to that edge so I can put that through. And it was such a small amount that it wasn't even warm, which is good. So now that we've got our string through, we're going to turn it over and we're going to tie a knot on either side, and then I'll add some hot glue to make sure it stays nice and secure. I think the next time I do a sign like this, though, I'm going to paint the front of it before I put my craft paper on the back, because as you can see, I am a messy painter, and I got some paint on the back of the sign, so it doesn't look as finished as it could have looked if I'd put the craft paper on after I did the painting, because I painted the edges of the sign too. So cut off the excess and add our hot glue, and this project will be finished. Yep, just going to cover it over with, just so it stays in there, doesn't come untied or anything like that. I think it's pretty good. All right. Yep, and just push that in with my little spatula so it stays adhered. And we're done. Turn it over. I think it came out pretty cute. Let me know what you think in the comments. On to the next. All right, so for this project, I'm using this Dollar Tree ornament, 3 sheets of paper from one of my 12 by 12 packs, and that I had in my stash, and this little Merry Christmas that I printed out on my Cricut, and a little bow that I made. We're going to be using Waverly chalk paint in ivory and some ink. All right, so the first thing we need to do is to remove the tag and remove the silver thing, because that'll just get in the way while we're painting. So I'm just going to take my heat tool and just give it some heat, and then just lift it off, and we'll set it aside because we are going to use it again before the end of this project. It's giving me a little bit of hard time, but there we go. And just pull it right off. And that's that. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is give this a good paint of the Waverly chalk paint in ivory. There. So while that's drying, I just took some cardstock and I cut out 2 trees. I cut out one and then I cut out the second one a little bit smaller. So the black paper is going to be with the smaller trees, and then this red plaid paper is going to be the bigger tree. So I just turn it over since it's single-sided paper, and I'm just going to trace around it. You know, you remember tracing from kindergarten. So just give it a good trace and then cut it out. It's as simple as that, guys. It doesn't get any easier than this. So there we go. I don't think you want to watch me cut these out, so I'm just going to trace the two smaller trees, 2 of them each on the black and white papers, and cut all 5 trees out. All right, so now I've got my 5 trees, I've got my Merry Christmas, and we need to kind of make, this is the one I want to make look like wood. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm just going to kind of give it a little distressing in lines so that it kind of looks like a wood, you know, like a pallet wood sign or something like that. So I'm just going to kind of go back and forth. And see, having that little silver thing out of the way really did make painting a lot easier. And I did the same thing on this one. The back of the sign, I do have craft paper on. So, but I didn't show it. I figured, you didn't need to see it twice. So, need a little paint there. It's kind of down in the bottom, and I don't want to put too much on. There you go. See, kind of looks like wood, doesn't it? Well, I think it does. And I'll just put a little bit more distressing anywhere I think it needs it. Again, when you're doing your projects, you can put on as much or as little, and or you could even skip the step. You don't have to do the step at all. So, I like it though. There we are. So that's good. Now we need to figure out where our Merry Christmas is going to go. And just set that down where we think. And I want it about 2 inches from the bottom, and I want it kind of in the center. I'm not like going crazy measuring here. Just kind of giving myself an eyeball so I kind of know where to put it. And I did mark on the transfer paper where the center of the Merry Christmas was. You really can't see it, but in that way I can kind of line it up. I want it right down by that ruler. Whoops. Okay, there we go. Now we got it. So we just take it and we're going to burnish it down with our little Cricut tool. And I love my Cricut. I don't know what I would do without it. But if you don't have a Cricut, you could use letters from the Dollar Tree. You could freehand Merry Christmas on there, or you could write any other word that you want to put on this wall hanging. But I thought Merry Christmas in red looked really good with the black and the white, and then that one red plaid tree. All right, so just burnish it down and make sure that it's sticking to the board. And I did kind of fuzz the transfer paper before I put it down. That way it didn't pull any of the paint off of my ornament. But there it is. Looks kind of good. I like it. Now I'm going to decide where I want my trees. So before we go ahead and Mod Podge them down, we're going to figure out where we want them. So the plaids, and then I think these are going to go a little bit higher, but underneath the plaid trees, just like that. Just kind of, you know, move them around till they look good to you. There, I think those are going to be good. So we're going to start with the ones that are all the way to the back. So we'll pick up these and get them out of the way. And then we're going to start with the one at the very bottom. And I'm just going to put a thin coat of the Mod Podge onto the paper. And that way I'll make sure that I cover the middle, the edges, everywhere that I need to cover. And I probably should have taken out some parchment paper because I don't want to really put the Mod Podge onto my mat. So I'm just going to hold this in my hand and do it. It works. Either way, I could have stopped and got out some parchment. All right, so I'm just going to kind of line this one up with the other one so I know where I want it. And then I'll pull this out of the way so that I can get a coat of Mod Podge on that one too. So just burnish it down. Again, my tool isn't where I need it. I could have used the Cricut one, I guess. There we go. All right, now we'll do the rest of the trees. Basically the same thing. We are going to Mod Podge them down and set them where we want them, just like that. And then the black and white plat. I love these papers. I got them at Michael's, and they were buy one get two free for the 12 by 12 packs, so you can't beat that. And I only used a portion of each of the pages, so budget friendly. And that's it. Gotta love it. After everything dries, though, I am going to go over it, the whole thing, with a coat of the Mod Podge. Just a nice thin coat, but it will make it look really nice and finished. And now I'm going to, now that the Mod Podge is dry and all over, and you can see it kind of gives that little sheen to it, I'm going to add back our little silver embellishment to the top of our ornament. So I'm just going to give it a little hot glue here and there and stick that back down where it belongs. See? Waste not, want not. And if I hadn't have used it on this project, I would have saved it and used it on another project. There we go. Just kind of center it back where it goes. Press it in. There. Gives it a nice finished look. And then I made a little bow out of some black and red ribbon and a little bit of a piece of black grain ribbon. And I'm just going to hot glue that right to the bottom of the sign where we have that little empty spot. And this project is a finito after I finish farting around with the bow, because you know how bow challenged I am. There we go. I like it. Tell me what you think in the comments. All right, so our last project, this one has a big story behind it, but I won't go there right now. So I'm using a Dollar Tree wreath form. 1.5 packages of those trees, some Dollar Tree red and black ribbon, and a microfiber cloth from the Dollar Tree. So what I'm going to do here is just start out the ribbon with a little bit of hot glue on the back side, or almost to the back side. And then I am just going to basically wrap this ribbon all the way around the wreath several times. Just keep wrapping until about a good 2/3 of the wreath is covered. And that's all you really need to do. And then when you're done, just hot glue the other end. That's it. Okay, so that's it for the ribbon. And we're basically going to just take a piece of this microfiber cloth. I'm just going to kind of measure how much I need. And I don't measure correctly here. So learn from my experience. Make sure that you cut off more than you need, because you can always trim it later. But you'll see how I fixed my little mistake here. And you really can't even tell. But as I said, this has a little story that goes to it. So I started filming this last night, and I got partway through it, and then I looked over at my computer, and it hadn't videotaped any of it. I'm like, great. So I said, all right, I'm going to start over in the morning. And I started over this morning, and I had my other wreath out. And no, this is not the video you are seeing right now. And I basically, it didn't work. So I had to go get another wreath form, and this is the third time. Third time's the charm, right? Okay, so as I said, I'm just going to glue this on kind of like we did I'm not really wrapping it the way we wrapped the other one. I'm just going to kind of sandwich it around. And just add some glue here and there and everywhere, just to hold that onto the wreath form. All right. And so, as I said, this wreath has given me problems, but it's not that hard to do if you measure correctly. And then all you have to do is wrap it around and then hot glue all the way around one side, and then just fill in where you missed any glue, and my glue gun needed a new stick and it wasn't cooperating, and there we go, we got it. And then bring the other side up to match. Now if I'd cut it the right size, there would be no green showing and it would be perfect, but there is some green showing, so I'll show you how I fix it here, because as crafters, we're not always perfect, right? Mistakes happen, so we fix them. And what we do to fix them, we just go with the flow and get it fixed. So I'm bringing that up as close as I can with to cover as much of that of the wreath form as I can. And now what I'm doing is I'm taking another little piece of the microfiber cloth, and I'll just cut it off and basically just cover up the area that I missed the first time around. That's as easy as that, guys. As I said, when you make a mistake, you fix it if it can be fixed. And if not, then maybe you make it into a different project. But that's all I'm doing. I'm just going to hot glue this little piece just to cover it. And actually, I probably didn't even need to do this because that's the back of the wreath, but I want to make sure it looks finished, especially if I decide to give this to somebody. Although I really like it, I think it's going to stay at my house. But there you go. So it's covered, finally. And then I'll add, to the back, I'll add a little piece of a chenille stem at the top to hang it. But that's it. Add a little hot glue here and there to make sure it's finished. But you're not going to see where that is on the inside there at all. Now, the trees have this little base on the bottom of them, and it really does come off fairly easy. You just got to give it a good tug. And I'm saving those because I don't know. I think I might use them for something. Maybe in one of my snow globes or something, I can put something else, use it like as a riser. There you go. And these are kind of forgiving. You can just mush the branches where you want them. And there's a little, when you take that off, there's a little piece of wire. So basically what I'm doing is putting some hot glue on the bottom of the tree and onto that wire. And then I am going to push it into that wreath form, because it's styrofoam, right through the microfiber cloth and right in the middle there. And I'm only using 3 trees because I think if I put more than 3, it would be too much. So just decide where your trees are going to live on your wreath, put some hot glue on them, and then, as I said, just stick that wire right down into the foam. And then when you're done pushing it in, you can move the bristles around so the bristles are nice and neat. And then last but not least, I got this little guy right here. And same thing, add some hot glue and put him into the wreath where he lives. And I think I like him. And actually, those are 2 different packages. One has more flocking on it, and one is like a little wispier flock. So then just move them around until they look like a nice little wreath trees. And that's it. This wreath is completed almost. Almost. Forgot the bow. We got to add a bow. But you know me, I am so bow challenged, so I don't do them on camera. But basically all that is the same piece of the ribbon that we used on the wreath with a little bit of black grosgrain ribbon from my stash, and I just tied it together with a little piece of satin black ribbon. And I'm going to hot glue that to the top, and that's it. We are done, and we'll see what everything looks like in the reveal. So here they are, guys. And as I said, it was 3rd time's the charm for the red and black wreath. The second one was the black and white wreath that's right behind it. So see, you can do these wreaths with any kind of ribbon you want. You could make the ribbon blue and make it for a blue Christmas. Make it the way you like it. If your holiday decor is pink, then do it with pink ribbon. It'll look beautiful. So I hope you liked these 3 projects, these 3 wall hangings for under $5. And let me know which one you like the best in the comments. I would appreciate it. And remember, this is part of the Heidi Sonboul challenge for Christmas this year. And visit her channel and also the playlist that goes along with this. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, I would appreciate you doing so because it helps my channel grow. And until next time, live fully, love deeply, and learn something new every day. Thanks, guys. Bye.